For centuries, wars have been fought over land, borders, ideology, and resources buried beneath the surface of Earth. But every major conflict in modern history shares one silent driver that is rarely discussed openly: energy. Coal-fueled empires, oil decided the fate of the 20th century. Nuclear power reshaped deterrence and fear, and electricity became the invisible bloodstream of civilization. Yet all of these energy wars had one thing in common. They were fought on Earth, over resources anchored to geography. That era may be ending. As humanity approaches the physical and environmental limits of planetary energy production, a new battlefield is quietly forming far above our heads. Not in deserts or oceans, but in lunar orbit. This is not science fiction. It is not a distant fantasy reserved for novels or movies. It is a logical outcome of trends already in motion. Energy demand is rising faster than Earth can sustainably supply it. Climate instability, geopolitical tension, and resource depletion are converging into a single pressure point. In response, governments and private actors are looking beyond the planet for solutions. Space-based solar power, lunar energy harvesting, orbital storage platforms, and wireless energy transmission are no longer theoretical concepts. They are being researched, funded, and quietly integrated into long-term strategic planning. And where energy flows, power follows. The moon occupies a unique position in this emerging reality. It is close enough to Earth to be logistically reachable, yet far enough to exist beyond traditional systems of control. It has long periods of uninterrupted sunlight, making it ideal for large-scale solar energy generation. Its surface contains materials that could support industrial infrastructure, without the constraints of Earth's fragile biosphere. Most importantly, the moon sits at the gateway between Earth and deep space. Whoever controls energy production and transmission in lunar orbit may gain leverage not just over space exploration, but over the planet itself. Energy wars do not begin with explosions. They begin with infrastructure pipelines before invasions, shipping routes before blockades, satellites before The same pattern applies to space. The first stage of the next energy war will not look like war at all. It will look like cooperation, innovation, and progress. Research stations, demonstration projects, international partnerships, and commercial ventures will lay the groundwork. But beneath this benign surface, strategic positioning will be taking place. Orbits will be claimed through usage. Standards will be set by early adopters. Dependencies will form quietly, long before anyone calls them dangerous. International law is poorly equipped to handle this transition. The treaties governing outer space were written in an era when space was symbolic rather than functional. They imagined flags and footprints, not power grids and energy markets. They prohibit national ownership of celestial bodies. But they say little about control through infrastructure. They promote peaceful use. But they do not define what happens when survival itself depends on off-world systems. Energy changes the meaning of peace. When entire populations rely on uninterrupted power flows from space, interference becomes existential. Lunar orbit is particularly significant because it is where energy becomes vulnerable. Generating power on the moon is one challenge. Transmitting it to Earth is another. Energy must pass through space, through specific orbital corridors, through relay platforms and receiving stations. These points become chokeholds. They are not owned in the traditional sense, but they can be dominated through presence, technology, and timing. Control does not require ownership when denial is sufficient. In an energy-dependent world, the ability to disrupt matters more than the ability to destroy. This creates a new kind of strategic calculus. On Earth, energy infrastructure is protected by borders, armies, and deterrence. In space, protection is ambiguous. Any action can be framed as accidental, technical, or defensive. A slight orbital adjustment, a signal interference, a software anomaly. The line between malfunction and sabotage becomes dangerously thin. Attribution becomes difficult. Retaliation becomes risky. Traditional escalation models break down. The result is a gray zone of persistent tension, where conflict exists without declaration and power shifts without battle. The nations most aware of this reality are already adapting their doctrines. Space is no longer viewed solely as a domain of exploration or communication, but as a strategic environment. Energy security is being redefined to include orbital assets. Military planners speak less about conquest and more about resilience, redundancy, and denial. The goal is not to dominate openly, but to ensure that no one else can dominate uncontested. This is how arms races begin, not with hostility, but with precaution. Private corporations add another layer of complexity. Unlike states, they are not bound by the same political constraints, yet they operate within national frameworks. A company that builds lunar energy infrastructure may act in pursuit of profit, but its existence becomes a strategic asset to the nation that supports it. Lines blur between civilian and military, commercial and sovereign. History shows that when critical infrastructure is privatized, power becomes harder to regulate and easier to exploit. Space may accelerate this trend rather than correct it. There's also a moral paradox at the heart of off-world energy. On one hand, moving energy production beyond Earth could reduce environmental damage, ease climate pressure, and stabilize civilization. On the other hand, it externalizes risk and concentrates control. The planet becomes cleaner, but more dependent, cleaner, but more fragile. The illusion of abundance can mask a deeper vulnerability. When energy feels limitless, societies tend to overextend. Overextension breeds complacency. Complacency invites disruption. The moon itself becomes more than a celestial body. It becomes a strategic asset, a symbol, and a trigger. Any attempt to regulate lunar energy use will be seen through the lens of advantage. Any call for shared governance will be weighed against strategic loss. Cooperation becomes conditional. Trust becomes scarce. Even scientific collaboration may be reframed as intelligence gathering. The language of exploration slowly shifts into the language of security. Energy wars have always reshaped global order. After coal came industrial empires. After oil came superpowers. After nuclear energy came a balance built on fear. Off-world energy may produce something entirely new. A hierarchy not defined by territory, but by access. A world where power is measured, not by land controlled, but by systems maintained beyond the planet. In such a world, traditional concepts of sovereignty may weaken. Borders matter less when energy ignores them. Influence matters more than ownership. The greatest danger is not that the next energy war will be fought in lunar orbit. The greatest danger is that it will begin without anyone recognizing it as a war at all. No declarations, no armies. Just a series of technical decisions, policy choices, and infrastructure deployments that slowly lock the world into a new dependency. By the time disruption occurs, the leverage will already exist. By the time rules are questioned, power will already be distributed. History offers a warning. Every time humanity has unlocked a new energy source, it has underestimated the political consequences. The technology moves faster than the ethics. The infrastructure grows faster than the law. By the time governance catches up, the damage is already done. Space does not change this pattern. It accelerates it. Distance delays. Accountability. Complexity obscures responsibility. Silence hides intention. So when we imagine the next energy war, we should not picture fleets clashing above the moon. We should picture spreadsheets, launch schedules, regulatory loopholes, and orbital diagrams. We should picture negotiations that fail quietly, standards that favor one side, systems that cannot be replaced. We should picture a world waking up to the realization that its power no longer comes from beneath its feet, but from a fragile network circling a distant rock in space. If conflict erupts, it will not be because humanity chose war. It will be because humanity failed to recognize that energy is never neutral. Wherever it flows, it reshapes incentives, concentrates power, and invites competition. Lunar orbit may soon become the most valuable real estate in human history, not because of what is built there, but because of what depends on it. The next energy war may not begin with weapons. It may begin with a power switch, flipped far above Earth in silence.